This is the Nikon FG. It's a camera that defines our expectations of a 1980s Nikon SLR. Despite its diminutive size, it is a solid, chunky expression of photographic prowess. It's a perfect shape, bold in design, comprehensive in features, unabashedly wearing its capabilities and brand for all to see. It is the harbinger of all things Nikon circa 1982. The Nikon FG was the antidote to its predecessor, the deeply misled EM. When Nikon designed the EM, they made some assumptions about its audience. Nikon anticipated the rise of a new market for SLRs, the supposedly emerging, quote, female beginner market, end quote. And so, led by the misogynistic instincts of the day, they sought to reduce the technical complexity of the EM's functions, making it an exclusively aperture priority camera. Nikon made no such mistake with the FG. Whether they gave up their misleading marketing models or rather recognized the reality that any photographer, male or female, desiring an SLR will demand manual control, we'll never know. But the FG defined the SLR to the consumer public perhaps more than any of us appreciate today. While modern analogophiles might lust after the F3 HP or FM, it was the growth of consumer-level SLRs that fueled Nikon's rapid success. The FG was the Nikon SLR within reach among regular people who sought the abilities and status afforded by a Nikon without the need for genuine industrial quality construction. And yet the FG did not disappoint, representing meaningful progress, the equivalent of a D500 in its day. Perhaps fulfilling its legacy with consumer-friendly braggadocio, it was the first Nikon to feature both TTL flash metering alongside genuine program auto exposure. If there was an emerging market of inexperienced beginner SLR users, albeit not specifically female, but rather one more generically yuppie in character, the FG provided everything they required, alongside the authentic ability to deliver all necessary and qualifying SLR capabilities. But where does that leave the FG today? Some perspective is helpful, recognizing it cost more than $300 when new, today's equivalent of nearly $900, placing it roughly in the middle of Nikon's current lineup. If you think today that you need about $1,000 to buy a good camera, then that was as true then as it is now, albeit adjusted for inflation. Most of Nikon's chrome cameras from the great 80s could have helped hammer in nails before photographing the architecture they helped build. And while the Nikon FG doesn't lay claim to that level of extreme durability, it was no slouch, while besting all other Nikon SLRs for capability per weight and size. It might look odd on the back of a tripod-mounted zoom lens, but it's certainly perfect with a 25-2.5, a 24, or a classic nifty 50. So if the time comes for you when you want that film camera from the days before plastic everything and you want access to the near entirety of Nikon's class, but don't feel like shelling for an F, pick up an FG. Handle it with appreciation for what it was and what it still is today, and decide, what is your photographic purpose? You might just realize that the Nikon FG is everything you've ever wanted in an SLR, everything necessary, and everything you'd ever expected.